All right. It says the recording is started. I'll say good morning. I don't know when this will air, but it's morning for me at least. I don't, and I think it's morning for these guys too still. Oh, nope. Raisa, one of my guests, it's afternoon for her. So anyways, good morning.
Good
I am
morning.
here this morning with Raisa. She just said good morning. And on my other beautiful sister, Dore. Go ahead and say good morning, Dore.
Good morning.
Or afternoon, whichever it is for you. It doesn't really matter. It's just
Yeah,
a
good everything.
frivolity. Good everything, exactly. I've been planning on trying to get this put together since 02222, and it just, for some reason, the timing didn't happen, and I know that's exactly as it should be. Basically, the reason why I'm coming forward this morning is just wanting to get some different perspectives from anyone who would be willing to join me to talk about how they're managing this three-dimensional Earth story that has its limitations and has its challenges versus coming into some very profound spiritual truths that are just pointing towards limitlessness and absolute divinity and equality and unity and oneness, and then being in this earth plane and the kind of the back and forth of it. So that's kind of where I'm going. So I have lots of things in my heart about it, but I also want to make sure that we have space for everybody's ideas about that. I'll just let the both of you go ahead, and since Dore, you're like second in line next to me, I'll have you go first, and then you go ahead and raise. So just kind of give me your basic overview of how that impacts you, what I just said.
Well, I think that collectively and individually, we're all just reconciling so many themes, and some of these are recurring themes that have been coming up throughout our incarnation, probably throughout incarnations, of cycles that have kind of demonstrated themselves as being fruitless, and why it's so important for us to recognize those cycles that are counterproductive or counterintuitive, and realizing that that's what we're here to do, is to shift the narrative and re-empower ourselves in that narrative and find ourselves in alignment with truth, which is love ultimately. And so for me, a really huge thing right now is emotions get stirred up, and circumstances are being just presented, all sorts of different things. Surrender is like a huge theme for me right now, where I'm just
Ditto,
kind of
ditto. I hear it all the
trying
time.
to surrender to what is,
Mm-hmm.
and in that, and in that space, just have faith that even though we don't always understand on the surface what's, we don't have all the answers, we weren't ever supposed to. It's kind of like surrendering to the fact that it's supposed to be a mystery, and you're not supposed to know everything right now. And if you can just have that faith in love, that it's going to bridge the gap from here to there, you know
Mm-hmm.
so just really trying to eliminate words like should from my
Mm-hmm.
vocabulary. I think the should word's a slippery slope, because it's kind of a control word, well, where we think we need to like micromanage or control a situation to look like something other than what is.
Yeah, it denotes judgment too, because if you should do something, that means there's something you're
Exactly.
not doing.
Right.
Right.
Implying that
Exactly.
lack, or that, yeah, that things,
Mm-hmm.
should just that there should be some other reality that you're experiencing. So I think it's just really important to tune in and ground yourself in what you are moving through, and going like, okay, I might not like this, but I got to find a way to embrace this. And that's where that surrender comes in. So you can
Okay, cool.
accept, you know,
Mm-hmm.
the totality
Yeah.
of what you were supposed to glean by the experience that you're having. Otherwise, we're just resisting, and resistance is futile, right? I think that was in
Yeah. If you
Star
resist
Wars.
it, if you resist, it persists. As long
Right.
as you resist and see, and that's a good opportunity, a good lead in. I shared with Dory earlier that I really wanted to thank Raisa. I just finished yours and Barry's podcast, the last bit of it this morning.
Mm-hmm.
And that one thing that you said about addiction, I realized that I've been struggling with some reoccurring food issues.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that I was resisting this, not
Mm-hmm.
loving it, not being in that place where I was thanking it for being a tool that I used in an earlier refinement process. And it
Mm-hmm.
was a place, and one time in my life, it actually saved me I wouldn't have been able to take the sadness that I went through without that food addiction.
Mhm.
So and it just clicked for me, and I was like, that resistance. So that's a really good, you said 2 words, Dore, that I really want people to listen to come home with, because this will help you manage one foot on the shore and one foot in the water doing this thing, is resistance and surrender. If you resist, it will persist. Not because it's negative, not because you've done anything wrong. It's just that until you get to that place of surrender, it will continue to present itself. So thank you for that. That was a big thing for me this morning. It really, really, really helped a lot. So I'll go ahead and let you just go ahead and give your first response to this subject matter that we're bringing forward today, Raisa. How does it feel to you?
Yeah, it's like every day. Sometimes there are days that on an hourly basis, something new will pop up. It's what we call the perception. And a lot of times I catch myself that there are not enough words to describe. It's as if we need new vocabulary, we need new words because we've been using the same words over and over with the word vibration and perception. I want new words. And
Yes.
yeah. And the time travel, the shape shifting, uh, the time travel, especially, I catch myself a lot. And when I come back, sometimes it takes a second or two, like a flashback. And when you come back, whatever you thought about this yesterday, because of you traveling within a second or two somewhere else, coming back, all of a sudden that is not an issue anymore and you don't care.
Everything's different. Yes.
It's as if,
Yep.
this flashback, a second or two, you went somewhere, got a little bit of surgery on the perception, and then came back. So before you would need to work a lot of inner work, and now it's almost instant presented to you. I
Yes.
I understand that so it's not about the length of time, linear time. It's about the inner work as in quality or not quantity, whatever. So uh, whoever didn't face their own ego or their own like addictions or personality traits, we're not judging here. It's not about good or bad, just neutrally. Whoever didn't face, they are going to be presented more and more opportunities. The more, like you call about resistance, persistence, the more they shove it under the rug, the worse it gets because it becomes amplified as a monster. Because as we move forward into the lighter frequencies or energies, as it becomes lighter and lighter, whatever was dark becomes darker and darker, which means harder and harder. Because as you're moving lighter, your dark side is getting darker because those are the two of the same. This is the what I understand. This is my understanding, so you don't have to follow. Of the two, the light, the dark, both of the same. Meaning, the higher frequency you go, the more you realize how dark you were. That includes the past lives, because I also learned through the sessions that on a soul level we do hit the rock bottom of the the darkest incarnation where we did the worst possible, and then from there we decide to move up. So, and then we're here now. And of course it depends on the person's inner work, whether they question their reality or not, whether they try to uh, strive towards what we call goodness, because every time you are presented with a choice, everything you do is a choice. If you right now currently choose what we call goodness, the light, as you work more and more, it becomes easier and easier because you are taming your ego. You making it work for you. You realize
Right.
that you don't need to fight it because
No.
it's a part of your. It's you. So
Yes. It's
even
part of
Jesus
your
didn't.
toolkit for your earth experience. Yes. Definitely is.
Jesus didn't fight it. He just said, "Get away," and
Yeah.
he realized that's a part of him.
Mm-hmm.
And those that never faced, it's going to be harder for them because they've been ignoring. Because what you resist persists, right? And
Always.
then, as for you get to the point where you understand that okay, this is Shannon or this is Raisa, let's say body, personality of this current incarnation, and that you are way bigger than that. So we call it soul. Then the soul, you realize, made many, many boo-boos. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here so many times.
Right.
So then you move towards the higher self. This is when a lot of people, well, not a lot, but hopefully a lot soon, are going to be experiencing the soul merge, where you see yourself on a higher self level, not in an egotistical sense, but you no longer want to identify with prior incarnations. You no longer need to identify and say, I'm an old soul and I had many incarnations. Look at me.
Right.
I've been here many times, because who cares? um, and
Exactly.
and I've seen this many times, where I try to connect to the person's soul, and it goes straight to the higher self. That means they already had the soul merge, which means when they have the crown activation, the soul wants to merge with this current incarnation to become one. So the person remembers everything and is ready to surrender. This usually happens within your higher heart. So the higher heart is even bigger, because that's the one that can accept and be open to agape. And so when you are ready to commune with your higher self, this is when your higher self says surrender. When you surrender, this is what you let go. You let go of your individuality, of your ego, when you say, and you don't attach to absolutely anything, where you realize everything you loved and you defended it no longer needs to, because you are that you are.
Big chills. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right.
And you said something, Raisa, there that just is the perfect lead in for the reason for me making this video. Those spaces, everything you just spoke of, I can feel them. I have like an intuitiveness in my whole oneness. And the thing that we're doing right now is, as we reach those places that you were speaking of, and I've even removed the word, you talked about words. I don't say higher self, I say expansive self, because it's not a measurement. It's this other thing that we have these, newer understandings of. But as we do this, while we are choosing to fully embrace this incarnation at the same time, one foot on both places, as above, so below, we actually are affecting the entirety of the entire Earth system just by being that. But I find, you said the traveling thing, I find this is my biggest struggle. And it's probably because I'm an all-in girl. Both Earth character Shannon is all-in girl, and I know my highest form of character is also an all-in being. So when I am engaging the Earth story, because I know that's part of this mission, I get lost in it. And then when I engage the ether and my expansive self in this beautiful thing that's becoming so, like you said, you don't put words to it anymore. It's not, when you first discover that you had past lives and these things, it's like such a big wow moment. You identify with it for a while, and then you get past that. So being in that space, then I get lost in that. And I don't want to have anything. I want to be here. I want to be in my expansive self only. And so I'm finding this struggle that when I engage one or the other, of wanting to stay there, and the idea is not to do that. This is an expansive and integration of the whole of the I am presence being one within ourselves, and then it's becoming in the outer. So I'm finding myself struggling. I get myself really dragged into things, and then I'm like, wait a minute. And then it clicks, and it's like, this is Earth character Shannon. What's happening here? Oh man, I just got myself buried in this Earth story again. And so it's that balance, and I'm getting better at it. But I have a feeling there are other people out there that when they hear this information, if nothing else, it will just comfort them to know that it seems like every moment we're going through, like you said, it's not the same. And so you sit there with this feeling like, sometimes, like I explained it before, it feels like being dropped off by a spaceship in a body that doesn't look anything like the one you had on the other planet, totally naked, with no rule book. You've got nothing with you, and you just have to figure out how to navigate in this space that feels so familiar, but you don't, it's so new that you don't have any tools to navigate it. So, and that's the reason why I wanted to bring this forward, because it's a beautiful, incredible thing, but at the same time, it can be challenging to manage the space that you stay in as that, unified one. And I think that as we get to master it, we get to the point where we're mastering it, all of us that are going through this, that's when we're going to see very significant manifestation in the outer, because that's all the outer is a screen that presents itself from all the inner work that we do as the I am presence and the Christed ones. So Yeah, but
I
real.
just, sorry, no, what you were saying though just made
No,
me
go ahead. Go ahead.
think of
Go.
something so profound, which is that,
Mm-hmm.
so much of this, even with fear, like for me, I really experienced this whole thing as this like giant initiation experience where you like have to take the initiative to like answer the call, which is basically your heart. And it's basically saying, are you willing? Are you, like you said, when I'm an all in girl. So when you're
Mm-hmm.
all in, are you willing to basically adhere to and follow through on your truth, no matter what that asks you to do in the process? Are you really
Mm-hmm.
ready to proceed 100% in that direction? And it probably will either appear to ask you everything or really will, you know, in pursuit of truth, which again, for me is of the same energy of love. Those things are the same.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, and I think that my particular gift that I've brought to this earth plane, which we each have an individuated aspect. I just heard it again this morning. Believe it or not, it was a quote from Oprah Winfrey, but it doesn't matter where it comes from. We know that now. And she was basically stating that the gift that you bring to this earth plane, regardless of the fact that we're not measuring and there isn't a better or worse or a higher than lower, but the gift that you bring, no one else, there is no other aspect that can bring that gift. So it's imperative that
exactly.
you represent that gift that you bring.
Yep.
You bring it.
We were
And it's so
never intended to be cookie cutter, carbon
new.
copy. This was never supposed to be a hive mind situation. In
No,
fact,
there's
it
nothing.
was very specifically purposed that unique part of the unique fractals was very deliberate, because it was supposed to be about that variety and finding our common denominator in love, and
Yes.
and accepting each other and embracing each other in those differences, and in those differences finding unity, if that makes sense.
And the amount of expansion that we're bringing to ourselves, or ourself, capital S, the I am presence that we all are, individuated, but are, the expansion we're bringing to that beloved one, the unity, is beyond anything we can imagine. I try to imagine it, but I can feel how profound it is.
Right.
And it just keeps moving forward. But what we're doing here, the expansion this is creating, is even blowing, and see, I get chills when even blowing the I am's heart out of the water. And just, it's like, yes, this thing that we're doing, it started with the beginning of expansion. And it just, that little video you shared this morning, Dore, where it zooms out from Mother Earth and then goes through all the layers into the galaxies, it just was such a visual,
right? Yeah,
such a visual that, do you see this expansion? And it doesn't,
for me, I
it
got
doesn't
chills just
stop.
bringing that up. Yep.
I know. And it's
Because
this,
you can know it, but when you see it in those terms, you can kind of get like that bird's eye view.
This is what expansive self is. This is the desire of expansive self. And it is all wrapped up in the one thing that's only real. And that is love. End of story. And it's expansive. And that's basically what we're doing. But boots on the ground can get really perplexing, especially at this time right now. We are in what an incredible and wonderful, magnificent time. But at the same time, like I said, every day you wake up and you need new words, you need new things to engage in, because everything is new.
Because so many of these powerful terms, and because we're limited with language, especially with English language.
We're limited in
I
this
heard
experience.
That like English language is like the opposite of what's resonant with the spirit or like
yes,
of love. So which just wouldn't surprise me at all. But again, many of the terms that again, those in the spiritual community, I say with the funny quotes, like to use a lot, have become sort of trivial because they're just used so frivolously that now if you say if someone like steps on your toe, you're triggered now, or if like all
right
the are I even like kind of get a little cringy when I hear the word ascension sometimes.
Yes,
there's just a lot of terms that have been a little used excessively, where the potency of what they really represent has been a little bit trivialized now.
Yes, the dark energy, our benevolent duality that we created, every one of us is responsible
Right.
for this beautiful duality. It's very smart. It knows how to latch onto things and return to itself in a nanosecond.
Right.
So these things immediately get presented in a way that says, oh, I can include myself in this. I
Right.
can be this because I don't want to go away.
But there's all of these, everything in existence is an integral part of the story. So everything has
Yes,
everything has purpose.
all of it.
But there's that fine line, and I think we're all human. Everybody at some point has moved through. Anyone that started their like unfolding or remembering journey, if you want to call that awakening,
Mhm.
that's fine too. Just doesn't really sit right with me.
Remembering is what it is for me. I'm just
Right.
remembering. I'm remembering all this cool stuff of the I am that I
But
am.
when you start to remember, you
Yes.
start to connect with certain things. If you have a very poignant moment in time where it's really
Mhm.
easy to attach to certain things or get excited about certain things, and sometimes people think that they're the only one that it's happening to, and I call that like the Messiah complex, where they think they're the only one that's
Right.
having the visions or having those connections to archetypes. Do you know what I mean? Where they
I
get
remember asking the question, is this just me?
right.
Does
And
anybody else see
very
this?
natural, very normal. And I feel like we should talk
Yes.
about it so we can help people understand that the spiritual ego is a thing too. And
It
Okay.
is.
to just
Yeah.
be mindful, right? To just be mindful that when you're
Mhm.
presenting yourself as like a teacher or a master or anything else, it kind of gives this, for me at least, a false suggestion that someone else isn't that as well. And
Right.
I'm really about empowering everybody. Remember that the more that you think you need somebody else to facilitate your ascension, the more we're really just not helping you um, step into your own empowerment and realize that no one is really more equipped. People might have be more in tune to certain things at different times, but everybody has access to these things.
Yes.
So when we say things like a lot of the words that have just been like a little bit, if you want to say star seed, or she was saying like old
Oh, I know.
soul,
There's so many
all of it,
words.
it's all a part of it. It's all relevant. But why would you limit yourself if you're a limitless expression of divinity? I'm careful to say any of those things now because yeah, that's part of it. But it's like you're the universe wrapped in skin for the most part. Like
Yes. The,
you're that, but you're not
the
just
omniverse,
that.
the
You know,
everyverse wrapped in skin.
you're a teacher,
Absolutely.
you're a student, you're a healer,
Mhm.
you're all of it, and
And see, you're
everything in
touching on
between.
something that's what I'm saying that I'm trying to present today. There's that, and we can hold those ethereal truths, but yet here we are, and there are those that are in that process, and they're exactly as it should be, and it's divine as well, just as divine as the moment we're in, where we can articulate that we're experiencing that. And that's where I'm finding this balancing act to be a challenge. And I know there are others out there that are also
Yes.
looking at it, because we can speak that way, but we know full well, because you and I have had conversations. I've had a few with Raisa, and my heart just says she knows. She just knows. But anyways, we've had conversations like that. We can speak those things to each other, but we fully know that as we're speaking them from the perspective of the I am presence that we're in currently in this now moment, that each one of those individuated sparks that we are using as reference are exactly where they should be. They're perfect and beautiful just as is.
Absolutely. And like
And see,
negating,
that's this thing that we're doing, and sometimes it's just like, oh,
because I think a huge part of everything is, again, because everything here is so inverted, and how
yes,
everything has been presented. Like for me, I think about how we want to, or how a lot of people perceive this concept of darkness. I've totally shifted in the way that I think about that. For me, I think like ascension happens in the unknown,
oh
so
yeah,
like so much.
it's where the seed
It's
grows.
where
Yeah, it's where the
it's where
stars
the
shine.
treasures, it's where the treasures have
Yes,
been hitting. So going into hiding,
yes,
so going into the dark and realizing like, not resisting it, not refraining from it, but going in, especially your own,
yep,
um,
absolutely,
is really
absolutely.
where the most accelerated kind of evolution at least happened for me. And um I think the way that we just sometimes think about our roles, again, those are kind of like egoic concepts at this point. But when we think about how we kind of just show up for ourselves or life at this point, especially people that have been pursuing their spiritual expression for some time now, there's almost like this idea that we all have had, that we need to be positive all the time, that we need to be all love and light all the time, and we need to show up that way for everybody. And that's not truth either. And so
the key word in that sentence is need.
Exactly.
In the I am presence, there isn't a need for anything. So yes.
So realize that the darkness or the other emotions are just just as big of a part of the spiritual expression as anything else. And if when we suppress those things, or we act like we don't feel things, like I was just saying the other day, I kind of had like a little bump in the road moment where I was like, this is really like lower self energy that I guess was dormant. And I had like a moment, and I just was, kind of open about it with a few people that I'm close to. And I was like, I'm, this to say that this wasn't so wouldn't be truth. So I'm just like trying to really move through what I'm feeling in this moment, so that I address the emotions with the kind of tender love and care that I know they're asking for, basically.
Yes, and you reintegrated that back into expansive self by not resisting it, allowing it to be, because it is divine as well. All parts
it's just important when something pops up or something surfaces that's not as pretty as the vibe, the moments when you're vibing, those are just as important to be,
Yep. And that's where the non-judgment comes in.
Right. Yeah.
Because everything's pretty. Everything's beautiful. Guess what, guys? Everything is love. End of story. Every single
And in fact, it's loving those things that have been perceived as unpretty is where the real alchemy happens.
Right. All right, Miss Raisa, you're sitting over there. Are you stewing something up?
I'm sorry.
No, it's good. I just wonder what she's thinking over there.
No. I just go along with what you guys are saying. Because so much has been said. So I'm going to keep on thinking, do I remember it? Let's, if we talk about the surrendering, so surrender means let go, let God, give up your, this is what it means to me, give up my attachments to everything that I thought was, I guess, Raisa. This is exactly what you say, Shannon. How do you bring the 5D to 3D? Because then when you say I and me, which one?
It's also and. Yes, I did a little video. I don't think I'm going to post it, but it's also and.
And
divinity is also and. Yes.
So when, like, for example, I'm hungry. Like okay, so then which one? Is it race? But then race is a mind, but then it's the body. So what's the body? Right? About the earth life. This is from the earth's channelings that I do. I still have no idea if so there is a name Gaia. I'm not sure if this is precisely for the earth. So I call it Gaia's channel, Gaia's words, but I don't know. And
it just represents mother, the mother energy that's within this beautiful being that sustains us in this story. Yes.
So life giver, right?
Yes, and her channelings are amazing, by the way. I absolutely love them. They always resonate.
Thank you. So when, for example, she likes to whip us, right? I always have a hard time in few days after I do this because it's very difficult for me. And for example, when she says, you came here so many times, you were supposed to come and be good and learn, and instead you're ravaging, you're savaging, all this. She says, you reincarnate, and then you call it earth life. Well, why do you put me into this? I have nothing to do with it. You're the ones who created it. So call it body life. Don't call it earth life. because
Oh,
right, because she's just here housing all of us, right? And
oh, and she's amazing. She's been
if
steadfast.
we're the ones that are savaging, why do we call these lives earth lives and then call earth life as bad? Because she's not bad, we created it.
Yes.
When I since that day, I'm having a hard time. Yeah, like every time I want to say earthly life, I'm like, oh no, body life,
Wait
body
a
life.
minute. Exactly. See, you're
Yeah.
hitting on the very thing that I've just been feeling and very hard to articulate and
Mhm.
wanted to get out in the hopes that it would be an expansion and of benefit to the all,
Mhm. And then
because it's true.
and then another thing is, she explained that when we say she, it's not like feminine as a human. It's
It's this
feminine
creative energy. Yeah, it's the
yeah,
creative
property
energy.
wise, right? The
Yes. Yes.
divine property of feminine.
Mm-hmm.
And so she says, for the tangible eyes, because you have to touch and see and feel, it is easier to do a geometric pattern as in sphere for you to comprehend. But if you were to see me through your heart, I'd be abstract, just like you are, just abstract energy.
Absolutely.
And so,
Absolutely.
and then I say, so people, we usually say on earth. Are we on? She says on, in, as, through, everything. So I'm like,
Yes.
so we are in the earth. Yes, we are the earth. We are, and like this, it's such responsibility, because that means that as collective humanity, we're the ones that causing the hurricanes, the earthquakes, and volcanoes. And that's the cause and effect. Everything you think, everything
Yes.
you say. So now it's becoming stronger and stronger to be that expression with your mouth. Because those ones that have done a lot of the inner work, their manifestation, their mouth, their words are becoming more and more powerful. So
Yes.
those are the ones that are being asked to please with your mouth, meaning when you want to say something negative about yourself or call yourself a name or less than, whatever, don't do that, because you currently right now very powerful. If
Yes.
you are angry at someone, be very careful, because you might hurt them. Also be very careful, because it's going to come back and stronger. So
Yes.
um,
Yeah.
mhm.
The phase, yes, that's exactly where we're at. And that's that, I had the words in my head, where were they? That space that we're in right now, where yeah, I totally forgot. I'll let you keep going because it'll come back to me. It was
Mhm.
just two words and they're gone. So they weren't supposed to come just yet. So you keep going.
Is that like freezing in the steps space-time continuum? Maybe that's what you meant. Is-
No, no.
no?
It was the space that we're in right now, where we are realizing what you were speaking about. I'll see if I can talk myself into what it was I was thinking. What you were speaking about, how we have come into this. Oh, that's what it was. Unconscious creation versus conscious creation.
Mhm.
And that's exactly when there's still a lot of unconscious creation. And as the conscious rises, so does the unconscious. Everything's being integrated. So you're very bang on, and you coined it with words, and very helpful to me, that even though I understand that my conscious creation holds a huge, yours, every one of us that is in this space, as well, though, that unconscious creation, which is keeping up the speed because everything's being integrated, also has, and that's exactly what you were saying, the turbulence that's being created by those that are still in that unconscious creation state.
Mhm.
Mostly, I still slip into it. I
Mhm.
find myself unconsciously creating and go, it's almost like an ethereal slap, smack.
Mhm.
What are you doing? What's that?
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, get back in consciousness.
So this
Yeah.
smack, this slap is actually the contrast of you going up and down vibrationally.
Mm-hmm.
Because when it happens fast, it feels like a smack. It feels like going
Totally
through the
does. And
wall.
that's what we're
Uh-huh.
discussing today, is this up and down, as above, so below,
Yeah.
this entire eternity, figure eight that we're on.
Mhm.
And it is just, and I'm finding that I'm getting more and more ease. I will go through turbulent spaces, and then the ease comes, like you said, very quickly, and it's very fast. It's not,
Mhm.
and no longer. I heard a little TikTok, and I've heard it a couple times, and it means so much to me, because where I am at, it totally resonates. It said, she leans into the camera and she says really quietly, she says, "What if being healed means that you just realize who you are. And the end of story. No, just because what we all came through, the inner work, the processing, these things all had like titles and blocks we stood on and spaces we occupied. I'm in a space now where it's like, that isn't part of my paradigm anymore. Yeah. And so, and managing that with, and then when I dive back into the earth game wholeheartedly, because that's, you know, like you said, I'm in this, I am this. I have a tendency to get wrapped up in that unconscious creation as well, and then find myself in a space going, wait a minute, I'm looking, it's getting quicker, it's getting more balanced. I'm gratefully looking to that wonderful moment when I too can disappear into a crowd and just be gone because I chose to be.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you know, exactly when you say about the blockages, right? This is what people tell me. So in the beginning, I always ask, what would you like to work on? And they say that they think there are blockages, or somebody told them that they had blockages. And I always ask, what makes you think so, number one? And because you, the one you keep saying it to yourself, and of course you project it out, and it's going to be mirrored back to you. But the thing is, if you keep on calling it, then it's going to prove itself more and more tangible. Then if somebody else says it, why do you take it as solid, quote unquote, truth, right? Just because someone says something, you don't have to embrace it fully.
Right.
That's that. Pardon me if I giggle or laugh. It's because when I interact energetically, there's so much going on. It's different.
I absolutely adore your divine giggle. I love it when Barry's being all serious and starchy, and you're over there laughing your butt off. I love it because I get it. There is a joyousness about that space, and it's like a freedom. So don't you worry about it. You giggle all you want. It looks like Dore had to pop out. I don't know if Dore lost her connection or she had to go. I'm not sure. She did tell me she had another plan, so she might come back in, but it's just us now. So
okay,
everything's as it should be.
And about the darkness thing, something that I learned the hard way is so it's kind of triggering. It's about right now, that spiritual ego, people that, leaving so-called Christianity, finding metaphysical, or let's say New Age, becoming very proud of it, causing the spiritual ego saying, okay, I'm awakened because I learned the New Age thing, meaning I don't have to go to a building, but there's a community online, and there's yoga, and there's this, and there's that, there's juicing, there's veganism, so I'm awakened. And in the meantime, judging those ones that still drink coffee and eat meat, as if that's worse than judging another. So,
right.
They will have their reality shattered as well, because just like Christianity, it has been allowing, like the doors open so people would move out and move into the New Age. Then there will be also the exit from the New Age into something else, and then again into something else, and it is important for everyone who moves into the next to not judge the ones that are still in the other. Because, for example, people in New Age, if they're, for example, judging the ones, sorry, my headphones. If they're still judging the ones that are in the church, it is important to remember that when you were in the church, or you needed the church, it was there for you.
Yes,
it served a purpose.
It was useful in that moment. Yes.
And your consciousness at that time kind of sort of matched with it. So would you please love another who's still going to church? Because if their consciousness is matching with that, then the church organizations, whatever, are doing you a favor, that they are taking care of that person or those people, matching their consciousness. Because imagine if everybody was going to move into New Age, it would be a mayhem, because people would be asking questions. because it's shocking to move from that to reincarnation. And then it's shocking from reincarnation to say, okay, can you not do yoga and still feel normal?
Right.
Can you see another person eat a burger and not judge them? Can you
Exactly.
believe that a person? Can you believe that a person could be doing something that is triggering you and yet also be spiritual? So
Yes.
this is more and more. And then what is spiritual? Before it was the word religious, and then it became spiritual, and now spiritual
Yes.
is like people take pride in it, and this is the next level, right?
Yes.
So I'm spiritual.
Being woke. I'm woke.
Yeah. And then
Yes.
I'm on the Ascension journey. Is like Raisa. So I have this problem. Help me ascend, right? And
Right.
where are you ascending to? The thing is,
There's
nobody
no
has
destination. There's no destination. It's
like
a journey.
who has all the answers. That's number one. Number two, nobody can answer your questions for you, because whatever your individual that you still identify with, and you still do, and if people say no I don't, yes you do, otherwise you wouldn't be here. Just like me, I wouldn't be here if I didn't, so I'm still in it too.
I always ask, whose stick do we measure by? Where's this measurement? Where is it? Show it to me. The one that's
Yeah.
accurate.
So from
There
what I
isn't one.
understand, right. So from what I understand, even the ascended masters, once they no longer need the physical body, and they would call them ascended masters. But that's again, it's the name that the New Age gave it to them. They never asked for it. I don't think Joshua
No.
cares
It
anyway.
helps us kind of understand where we're going with our
Right.
thoughts, but yes, they probably, I imagine that giggling that you do, I'm sure there's a lot of that going on every time they hear these things and experience these things through us. They giggle and laugh because they know.
Yeah. And every next time that they transcend that one, because what it does is like realm. If you were to see things linearly, you transcend into the well, as like Neville, for example. Didn't
Neville
get to,
Goddard?
like he
Yes.
didn't get to that ascended level yet, but when he gets to that level, he would need to work through that, because it's gonna have lots of attachments to his last, well, that incarnation of Neville, and then once he's ready to let go, because people know him by the name Neville, but he's more than that, prior incarnations and whatnot. So it's just easy to say Neville. That's why I don't call him ascended, because he hasn't yet. I call him transcended, because he was able to transcend, and we don't know, but then again, it's not our business.
No, it's his business, his kingdom.
Right. It's because I'm so curious. I was asking questions.
I am too. I
Yeah.
have a tendency to be, I like to know everything. I know. And the thing is there is no way to know everything. And so you are everything. And, I think that's the thing and I think that's where I'm finding both the same potency in the ease and the challenging of this moment that I'm in. I distinctly feel the ease of the I am presence that I have come to so far. I always say coming to know now. I don't say I know anything. I'm just I'm in this place of coming to know. Once I get to a place where I think I know something, I'm coming to know already. I'm out of that space and moving forward into the next expansion. So that's my new term. And I've been doing that too. So when you said the words thing, and I know Dore can relate too, I'm constantly recoining phrases, because when I say it, it comes out of my mouth and I'm like, oh yeah, that just doesn't serve anymore. I need to say it this way. And there is an ease, and there's also an equal challenge. And I said that before, I think that's what it is experiencing, the acceptance and the presence of both the unconscious and the conscious creation. And realizing, seeing, and this is where, and I think it was one of the posts on the voice that was posted, just one of the sharings. It could have been, and God said, it could have been the cafe at the center of the universe. But there was this statement that said, basically what this is about is looking at everything, and we're talking the speck of dust to the planetary system, everything with the eyes of the I am presence, which is that love, where everything's divinely perfect and beautiful, just as it is. And like you said, the person across from you eating that hamburger, when you don't, I'm to the point where I don't even eat that much at all, period. Food has just become kind of, I don't even feel like I need it sometimes. So I might be in a space where I'm not eating at all, but I'm looking at that person scarfing down that meal and only seeing the divine beauty in it.
Yeah, well, the
Absolutely,
person
as it
is
should be.
enjoying. That's awesome.
Yes, and they're in their process. They're in their process, and they are me. So I'm in joy because I'm like, look what I'm experiencing through them, and look what they're experiencing through me. This is expansion.
Because
It's
if a person
amazing.
has a good appetite, right?
Right.
You
There's
reminded me. Somebody looked at me like this when I was engulfing a salad. I got carried away, and that salad was so good.
Yes. Oh, well, that's the thing. And you got to have that experience, right?
Yeah, I
And
caught
that's,
myself when the lady, she looked at me, and I was like, "Oh, I'm eating too fast."
I was in wolf mode, but I'm really
Yeah.
enjoying this salad.
I mean, it
Let
was
me
a
have my joy.
compliment, right? That the restaurant did make a good salad.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. So, no, I think, and it's funny how, and then Dore just popped back in. I think she's probably, are you in the process of trying to leave, Dore?
Oh,
I don't know.
I'm sorry. There was just a whole lot of stuff going on in the background, and I had Discord coming on. I could hear people talking, and so I'm not quite just yet.
Okay, no, that's fine. I just wanted to check on you and make sure, because if there was something
Thank
you
you.
wanted
Yes,
to
I'm
share
sorry
because you
about
had to
the
go.
in and out.
No worries. If you have to go, I wanted to give you an ability to say something before you left, or if you're not going, great.
You're lovely. Thank you. No, not quite yet.
Well, that's cool because we're just at like 45 minutes, and I figured it'd be about an hour, maybe more. I don't have a limitation on it, but just at the same time, respect for everybody's space.
You were feeling.
Yeah, but no, I'm sitting here, and I've been wanting to do this for some time, and of course, once again, had my own ideas about how I felt in my heart I would like it to go, and seeing how it's going now, and just seeing the the connectivity and the camaraderie between the three distinct earth characters, Raisa, Dore, and Shannon, and the unity in the I am presence is exactly what I wanted to discuss today, is balancing those two absolutely divine perfect things. And that's, and so I'm grateful. I think depending on the response to this, I might attempt to put in another panel again, and one in a live format where others can come in the chat and ask questions that they may have. Yeah, and I didn't know if you guys would be up for that. There's a couple of other earth characters that I would like to involve because of the diversity of where they're at in their stories and what it looks like for them, because there's so much diverse expression of this I am movement that, but still you can see that they're getting it. They're getting something profound. And how are they managing that when it comes to this? And I wrote it in my notes, I think, is this idea of being limitless and limited by choice at the same time.
Right. Yeah, but
in this now moment.
You're so spot on, because everyone has their unique piece of the puzzle. But that unique piece of the puzzle is also, relevant to to the collective. So everyone that's able to kind of touch on the whatever particular themes that they've been or that they've opted to explore in this incarnation, is supposed to be, it's purposed so that we can all,
yes. And I just heard my heart saying, it's mine and I want it. That's the I am present saying, and it's mine and I want it.
Sharing is caring.
Yes. You're all mine and I'm all yours. This is ours. And that's where that, that idea of both giving and receiving of love, that I'm pretending this week that's actually a thing, is exactly the same energy. And that wanting to receive love is the same thing in the I am presence as putting it forward. It's the same frequency. It is this expansion. It is this inclusion. We are separate just enough to be able to throw that ball of love back and forth to one another as self-engaging self. And we get to reap all the benefits because it's just us. We're the only ones. We're the one.
So it's like we call it love, right? The universe is, and then it has all of these individualities and gods, races, extraterrestrials, planets that carry their own history, and then within them there are, races, so human and others, and each one carries that isness, right? that its
Yes.
own God, that I am, and whatnot, and everything that love is, everybody's carrying that is.
Yes.
And if someone decides that they want to close themselves and not be allow that to work, because when we call it being open, what I started seeing it is open plus allow it to work through you. So it's like you're opening a portal and you open to love. You allow to that for that love to come through you, and then to exit through you. Meaning, whether it exits through your portal into, let's say, Mother Earth, or if it exits unconsciously towards others, or you hoard it within and saying God loves me, and that's it. Sooner or later, because it closes and it needs to be circulated. It's really funny
Yes.
to say
It
love.
will be circulated. It is
Yeah, if
this
it's
love
not,
energy. That's what it does.
yeah. So
Yes.
if love is not circulated, it becomes stagnant, and then you feel like it's depleted. This is what I learned, that the person has to be also consciously open, because
Yes.
when they're not consciously open, they could think that God doesn't love them, but it's impossible. It's because you are it. So like a
Yep.
drop in the ocean. So when the drop drops in the ocean, let's say from the rain, it surrenders itself, and you can't retrieve it back as a drop, because it merges with the whole ocean, and it surrenders itself to the ocean because it knows it is the ocean. So when you know that you are divine, you don't need to claim anything, because you are divine. But as an individual as well, to allow for those energies to come in, process them, and then release them. Otherwise, if it stays stagnant, this is when a lot of people are experiencing what they call ascension symptoms,
Yes.
right? The colds, the hives, the headaches, and whatnot. And when you get that, and you know this is not normal, you shouldn't be getting that. This never happened before. It's probably you received something new energies came through, and you are holding it within. You forgot, or maybe you don't know that you have to release it. So consciously make sure you invite the light coming from above your crown and through you, your whole body, energy centers everywhere. Just drop it down. If you want to send
Yep.
it to the earth, or to the ball of light, however, it's got to be drained, because from what I understand, when we receiving what they call downloads,
Yes.
they have to be digested just like food. because
Yes.
if they're not also released after, it becomes like old stagnating knowledge, because we're always learning something new. Because collective is changing, the energies are amplifying, everything is new.
Yes.
Ascended masters are learning new, archangels learning something new from the linear perspective. And
Yes.
if not, okay, yeah,
Expansion.
right, ultimately everything is love, and everybody's God and everything's fine. That's ultimate. if we were to
Yes.
if we were to zoom in, and then into individuality's life, then this is the next step, is surrendering your individuality to the divine, and let the divine work through you. But when I say this, it's like a regurgitating the same words. This is something that I learned recently. One thing is to know through your brain, let's say a third eye crown chakra activation. Another thing is to allow it to move and digest through your heart, the heart activation.
Right.
Because you can know everything maybe, but if
Mm-hmm.
it's not in the heart, and you can't live it, so
No.
you'll be just a walking library, but you're not going to be a conscious walking compassionate, divine being. And
Right.
yes, of course, you are an aspect of God. But the thing is, when people are so striving to go into the fifth dimension, forgetting that you got to move through the fourth first. in the fourth is where all the hell breaks loose. Where
Yes.
sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but I laugh.
No, that's perfect.
You guys,
That's
I'm
true.
so sorry. I have to go. I just wanted to quickly say, Raisa, it was so lovely to get to chat
Thank
with you
you.
this morning. And Shannon, I love you. And thank you
I
so
love
much,
you.
ladies.
Well,
Have a good day.
happy
Thank
birthday.
you very
Enjoy the rest
much.
of your
Thank
day.
you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Happy
Yes.
birthday.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. That's awesome. Perfect.
So the fourth dimension is where all of these beings that are non-tangible, all of the thoughts that were lingering within, or aspects of the person's inner from the past lives, and they start come out and manifest themselves as movements or something. Sometimes people mistake it for an angel and whatnot. Realizing that your auric field is expanding, and everything that is coming out of you to be faced as you move through the fourth dimension, it will come out for you sometimes for the physical eyes to be able to perceive it.
Right.
So you will know you're no longer in the third, but don't be so proud of yourself, because the fourth dimension is the one that is mirroring to you your darkness.
Yes.
So it's not the 3D. The 3D is just density.
Right.
Where regularly repetitive thing over and over. Fourth is, that's the real work. This is when all the, what hits the fan. So
yes, I remember the day that it tilted for me. Everything looked and felt differently as soon as I was like, something's not right. This is very different how I'm processing things now. Yes.
Yeah, and you know how there are stages in each we call dimension. So let's say, imagine you just entered, right? The fourth, your mind state went into the beginning of the fourth, and you say that day everything changed. Imagine how you'd feel if you're in the middle of it. Imagine how you'd feel when you're at the end of it, and on the horizon, you can already comprehend what it means to be in the unity consciousness, aka fifth dimension.
Yes.
Right? So so when people really strive just to call 3D as a bad and then try to jump into the fifth, if you don't go through the fourth, first, you're not going to be compatible to the fifth, number one. Number two, even if you were to be to walk in, it would be hell for you and not heaven, because you would be triggered by unconditional love, because it would mirror to you your own abandoned
you would
inner
not
child.
be able to your energetic perception would be, to you, would feel effed up. Yes.
Because let's say you're avoiding your inner child, right? And you find everybody is walking around with their childlike wonder and openness and innocence and purity, even being as adults. That has to do with it. And to you, that would be triggering. You're a grown-up. Why are you so happy all the time? That's triggering.
Yes,
Or
I trigger people all the time by being like that. They look at me like, what the heck is wrong
you're
with you?
a grown woman, right?
You're a grown woman. You can't believe in fairies. Oh, yes, I can.
Because I am one.
Exactly. What makes you think you are one? Because I want to be one. So there you go. No, that's very true. And then once again, all that said, I love all of this stuff because it's just, I have a lot of intrigue in my character and I love these things. But then, the heart just says, and just remember all the things you're discussing, they're actually within you. You are the fifth dimension. You're the sixth dimension. You are the fill in the blank, whatever you want to put there. So when you're walking through these processes that we want to experience, it's the desire of the I am presence, or we wouldn't be here. Having that, that immediate, see, that's the thing that I'm talking about, keeps happening. We can go through the processes and there's something very distinct that says, that's in you though. The fifth dimension isn't out there. That's why trying to reach for it is pointless. It's within
all the
you.
Dimensions are all here and now. All the archangels, all your
everything. Yes.
all your ancestors are here and now.
It's the now moment. Moment. And I had a brother who did a video and I loved this statement because he said he's still in a place that I would say is in a different vibration than me. But this statement that he made, he said, God only needs the next 10 seconds. And if you live your life like the 10 seconds before you is the only thing that keeps you in that idea of the now moment. And the other statement that I heard, I fear these little statements and they just catch me, that there's only 2 days of the week that you can't do anything about. That's yesterday and tomorrow. The rest of the week, you can do whatever you want. And that immediately puts your mindset in the now moment. This is the moment. There are no other moments. That's part of this illusion that we're playing with. So yeah.
So it's like when people drive, let's say you're driving to the supermarket and you're thinking about what you need to buy, you are missing the drive. You're
missing the moment. Yes.
Because there could be a bird flying by and will flap its wings in a certain way where you're gonna have an aha moment, or you're gonna I don't know, maybe see a homeless person and something would shift within you. You might see somebody had an accident, and it's just anything.
That's right.
Right, and or the same thing, driving to work, thinking how the work day is going to go. But until you get there, don't stress yourself, because it's not serving you, because then you're going to arrive all stressed. At least do yourself a favor, be kind to yourself, and enjoy the ride, because until you get to work, it's not going to change. So don't hurt yourself worrying about work while you're on your way to work. If anything, it would make it worse, because you're gonna arrive all stressed out. So
yes.
What else? Because there's so much.
That's the thing that makes this challenging too. There's so much, and then there's nothing all at the same time. And that's where, managing this is quite the challenge. But I am finding that it is very imperative, at least to this earth story that we're all working through together, very imperative that we actually do engage it. Someone posted a meme for Dore's birthday, and it was a little baby in a high chair, and he basically picks up his cake and shoves it in his face, a whole cake. And he's just a little guy, and he basically dives into it. And I said, we're that baby, and this entire thing is the cake. Dive in. Don't worry about the frosting getting in your ears. Dive into it. And I'm totally love that concept, but I'm finding that when I dive in and I'm like, but there's frosting in my ears and my hair, and I don't think this is very comfortable.
Yeah, that's exactly what I just thought. How am I going to wipe, because it's heavy cream, right? And it's going to be
yes, and but this is the idea, is that, that thinking of the thing that's in the future, which is just the unknown. You are the unknown. The unknown is actually a safe, benevolent, perfect place. Or thinking of the past, which isn't even a thing unless you bring it forward, because you're the creator. You can do that. So and that's my biggest thing right now, is that, and I think we just hit on the answer to what it is I would like for myself and for everyone else who is connected to me to hear, that the answer to this balance is in that now moment. You will be able to balance this bicycle perfectly if you remain in that now moment.
So we're talking about the now moment, right? And there will be people who are going to be listening to this, right?
Right.
So check this out. So this is to the listeners. So hi, how are you now? Now, right now. How about now? And now, right? So it's like every moment. Is your mind wandering somewhere else? Are you here?
Because, I try to stay in my breath. Each breath is my now moment, and it's brand new each time.
And have you ever discovered between the breaths? Have you ever had that?
Actually, one of my breathing exercises is part of it is standing in the space between the breaths.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? This is when you realize everything is an illusion. This is
there's this, wait a minute, and also that you can think your thoughts, but your thoughts don't think about you.
And then
you're the thinker.
I also had this when I felt someone or something was breathing me. I wasn't breathing. That happened to me once. This is when I remember Crayan's words when Crayan said, "This could be offensive to some of the parents, but as much as you love your children, God loves you more." I dawned on me when I felt something was breathing me.
Right. And that something is that I am presence, whence you expanded from. And the beautiful thing, something that used to plague me because I feel such a distinct sense of my individuated self, that I went through that phase where I felt as if I was supposed to give up that self. And it was because so many people talk about going back into source and becoming just this allness with no individuation. And it just used to really bother me. I'm like, this doesn't feel or sound right to me. And I went through the whole egoic thing of feeling like, I don't want to give up myself and I want to get, and then I came to this beautiful place that let me understand that, see, there is no de-expansion in divinity. Whatever expands remains expand. And now it creates expansion further from itself that creates a new, some other expansion. But once you're an expanse, you're an expanse. Divinity doesn't de-expand. So you still get to be the beautiful gift of your individuated self. And how beautiful is it? I think that in one of the Yeshua channelings that Barry read, how beautiful is it to be able to just be that gift and be in love and live forever? What more could you ask for?
Yes.
You always get to be the expansion. You get to be that. That's the point.
Right. So it goes like this, just like that you are the creator of your reality. So if you want to be unique aspect of the divine, and that you want to have that uniqueness that only you have, and you're different from others, and others say that they want to join and be in oneness with God without, and for you it's strange. What if that's what they want to do? What if that's their thing, to be recycled back?
Right.
I know it sounds
exactly
kind of crazy, right? But
no,
if that's what
and
they
if
want,
if that's their
so
experience, then
so be it.
yes, so be it. Because once again, they are me and I am them. They're still part of this expanse. It's just that that's their journey, their perspective, and it won't be a destination. There are no destinations. So you can do that. Absolutely. Go back into that one light. That's all the candles just standing there being light. You can't tell you're a light because it's nothing but light. But without your light, it wouldn't be the light. So you can be in that space. But guess what? Expansion is still going to occur because there's no destiny. It's not a destination. So you're just going to expand into something new. Great. I guess I'm just really enjoying this expansion in the moment. So cool.
Yeah, and people are misunderstanding. Well, I mean, when they say I just want to ascend, where are you ascending? Number one, what is ascension? Number two, and number three. In order to quote unquote ascend, you need to know who you are, because you are ascending into yourself.
Yes.
So when you have problems, let's say in the family, marriage, whatnot, that is your ascension, because it wouldn't be presenting itself as problem if it wasn't on a soul level for you, just something figure out. This is why you decided to incarnate and meet with this person, marry that person, have these problems, because on a soul level you needed to fix that. So it's not you doing it for you as an individual, you name, but it's for your soul. You're serving your soul, and when the soul has had enough, in the sense where it's done with incarnations and playing these games, to come here and every time to play, then you no longer need to do this. But for now, when the opportunities or something that makes you feel uncomfortable because you got to step outside your box and you procrastinate, remember that you're doing it for your soul, for your soul's heart. You're doing it for your heart. When you think about it, it becomes very personal. It becomes even more special. So it's not for you as Bobby or for you as Jennifer. It is for your soul. Like, how big is this? So a lot of people are going through divorces, breakups, people leaving their jobs.
Been there, done that.
Yeah,
times.
People, leave their jobs because they can no longer do this. But some say, well, I'll stay because this is good, and this is good in the marriage, and this is taken care of. But then they say that they're still in turmoil. Or, for example, the work pays well or has got good insurance, but they're not happy.
Right.
So that means that there's, what is it that is attaching you, and what are you attaching within those situations that is keeping you away from your soul's heart, or away from your true self, you? So being true to yourself is when you know something is really good for your soul, for your heart, and you're denying it. So staying true is do what you feel is good for your heart, for your soul. And
Yes.
for example, if people always hang out with other friends and all of a sudden it becomes boring, but then they continue doing it out of peer pressure, but they
Yep.
just wait until the clock is
Or
finishing just so they can get
obligation, feeling like they
yeah,
have to.
right. And then you are not being true to yourself. So if you're not true to
Right.
yourself, who are you? So what you do is you give your power away. And we're not talking about that you give your power away so they're bad people or you're a bad person. No, you
No.
basically almost like vanishing energetically. You're not
Yes.
holding your energetic blueprint within. You scatter.
Yep. And once
So
again, in that is moment, when it is a circumstance like that, you have brought this to yourself for that very thing that you're speaking of, for the expansion of your soul. And
but
you
not like
will.
as a judgment, right? But
No, God, not at all, because this is you doing it. There is no judgment in it. It's simply the process that you're bringing yourself to. And your highest and most expansive self knows it's exactly what is necessary for this particular expansion.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And to assist the other fractals of this beautiful I am presence in their process as well. As we are, there is no disconnection. It's an illusion that we are not connected.
Mhm.
So yes, it is absolutely incredible. Just that whole idea of letting things be what they are. And, I love the idea also. I actually envision a little a crystal crown that is a actual throne above my head, about 2 feet or so above my head. And when I get into a circumstance where I'm feeling a bit perplexed, like I'm not in the right state, I close my eyes and I imagine my frequency essence coming out of this earth character and perching his self on that throne and looking at the circumstance from that observant place. An energetic being, nothing more, nothing less, looking at this earth character and this story. And that is so helpful to me because I look at it and go, wow, she's feeling really, really anxious right now. And her stomach hurts. And wow, I wonder what's that about? Let's step over here and look at it. Oh, wow. Okay, now I can see why that's happening. And I can immediately go back into earth character Shannon and go, oh, that's why I'm feeling that. And then go from there. And so being able to be in that place where you're viewing what's happening as that hologram, it for me, that's extremely beneficial. And, 5 years ago, that would have triggered the crap out of me. I would have said you were crazy. You were some kind of heretic, or, you were, that's not a thing, So yeah, I think it's basically coming to that place where we're, the just being in that now moment. And it's just coming to that conclusion for myself is very, very conducive and definitely a benefit to my expansive self. Is just just keeping that bicycle in that center space, because that if you look out or you try to think about balancing it, it gets wobbly. Just be in that space where it's already going and stay there. Like you said, and I'm going to remember that the next time I'm going, just even today, because I just took 12 days off work and today's my first day back. And I have literally been in that place where I'm like, I don't want to go back. And so I already was thinking about my next days off. And when you said that, my character self and my expansive self had a little conversation and said, you see how you're doing that? You see, isn't that just the funniest little thing about being human? Yeah, you just automatically go into this, I can't wait for my next days off. No, because I don't want to miss anything that's going to occur in this now moment that will be my now moment when I'm there. So I'm not even going to think about it now. I've completely rearranged my mindset. I'm just going to have my work day and let it be what it is. End of story.
Yeah, this seeing yourself from the neutral perspective and from a third person allows you to, when you're back in the body, to not attach yourself to the problems, because you are not those problems.
No.
Yeah, and this is what we do a lot.
A lot.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'm just as guilty of it. So we're sitting at about 20 till 12, so I'll need a little bit of time to process this video and get it put together. But if there's anything else that's on your heart that you want to throw out there as a last minute, I'll go ahead and let you do that. And then I will do the same, and then we'll wrap this up. I'm just really grateful. I feel pretty magnificent right now with it, so I'm grateful.
One thing. This is about seeing yourself from the neutral perspective, and to not identify yourself with, and body and blah blah. So I had one time, it was very unexpected, and it happened only once, and I miss it. Because during sessions I don't know what's going to happen. You remember, right? You never
Yes,
know
I
what's
do.
going to happen. So all you gotta do is just allow things to happen. And one time it was a regular person, and I hear somebody's coming through, and I didn't know who it was. And it felt, and I usually communicate telepathically, and I'm very familiar usually energetically, because I don't care about names. The energy is more important to me. So I'm familiar with the way archangels and extraterrestrials, when they communicate, I get it. This one, I had a hard time, and I couldn't understand why, and it drove me nuts, because my ego started, throwing hissy fit. Somebody like me, how can I not understand? Because I also have background in linguistics.
I know how to do this.
Yeah, and also, because I also have background in linguistics, and somehow it just works itself together. Telepathic and linguistic, it just works itself. So I couldn't, and I surrendered, and I asked, I said, what's the problem? What am I doing wrong? And it said, you're doing wrong because you are waiting for the same. I said, isn't telepathy the same language anyway? So it said, just surrender and see. That's what I did. I surrendered, and it felt like telepathic communication with an accent, like heavy accent. And there was a being coming through, and it was another aspect of her in a parallel reality. And I didn't understand, because it felt like from far away linearly, but at the same time here, and I couldn't get it. And so I said, why is it coming through so staticky? And it was a he, and I had a session with a she. Right? So, and she doesn't even believe in reincarnations. She has no idea about any aspects of nothing. So this was like a complete shock to her. Can you imagine? This was just so brand new. This is the first time even doing this, something like this. And this being just went off for like half an hour explaining. And even he said, go ahead, ask her if she has any questions. I'm here, I'll answer. And he went off answering so much. One of the things he said is, so his race and there's a specific parallel reality. I don't know the name, don't care. But what's important is, he said, they don't identify with themselves with a body, because they know that they are consciousness, that individual consciousness that is contributing to the whole. They don't procreate the way humans do. What they do is they transfer consciousness into another body. Their body linearly lives anywhere from 400 to 500 years, and every time is more upgrading, longer and longer. He says the reason why is because whenever there are problems, they don't attach themselves to the problems, because he says your feelings wear your body out.
Yep.
So I said, what do you want to be, like a robot? He says, no, but you stress about everything. He says, you stress your body. Your body is not doing it to you. You are doing it to your body. And when you have headaches and heart palpitations, then you complain that you need help. But you the ones who's doing it. He explained in concepts and like pictures. He says, when the person realizes they have a flat tire, there are so many thoughts coming through this person. At first is they're going to be late to work. Second, they have to change the tire, which is going to be dirty, right? And or call on roadside assistance, which is going to take a long time. You have to pull over.
Cost
Again,
money.
you have to
Yeah.
cost money. Yeah, he said money.
Yeah.
He says, we don't think that way. He says, I have a spaceship. If it malfunctions, I am not going to stress my body because of that. I'll fix it. That's all. He says, when this happens, just fix it. It's not worth the stress on your body, because the more you project out, all you're doing is hurting your body, making it older faster.
Yes.
So when he said it that way, I realized why so many beings, that very famous ones, they were able to do that cellular regeneration and stay, alive for hundreds of years. They were aware of communication with the body, knowing that it's like a suit that is very intelligent, and it's like a machine. You tell whatever you tell it is going to do. So if you stress it, it's going to process the stress, and you can't
If you take your
expect
suit to the dry cleaner too many times, it's going to wear out. That's right.
Exactly.
Don't put it through the dry cleaner so much.
Yeah,
Yes.
if you love it, it's gonna stay
Mm.
longer. If you take care of it, it's gonna stay longer. And remembering that on your earth plane, you reincarnate and you start everything as new. So you have to go through the goo goo gaga period.
Yes.
He says we
Yes.
don't have to do this. So we just transfer consciousness, and we remember from the second the body starts
Wow.
functioning. When you constantly wasting, and then it goes along with the Arcturian channelings that, it was a trigger warning I posted. Whereas when it was Rahu collective that said, look, every time you do this, you're wasting your energy. Because look, let's say you had 100 incarnations. That's just big minimum. 100 incarnation out of 100 incarnation. Let's say first, I don't know how many until you started questioning your reality. For some people, it's maybe 10 years, some 20, some 30, some 40s, some never. So some incarnations
Right.
people never question.
No.
Out of all of those on a soul level, how many linear years, centuries have you wasted? But while you were doing this, you were contributing to the society and civilization. And after all this, you turn around and you call the dark side bad? Weren't you the one who contributed to this anyway? By
Of course.
wasting your life. But this is talking not to the current incarnation. This is talking on a soul level. So there's also
Right.
such a thing as talking to the person on a soul level. Like, hello, anybody there? And like, stop doing that. You're wasting your energy, and you contributed, and now your physical avatar is here crying out and saying, get me out of here. There is, I've seen that, the battle between the avatar and the soul. Why did you do this to me?
And even if you're in one of your incarnations, let's say you do manage to pull off 100 of them, and you never allow yourself to go into those lower vibrations, and if you do, it's very brief. The fact that your brother or sister or individuated aspect did still means that you were part of it, because we are all connected. So therefore, it doesn't matter whether you actually went through incarnations where you were able to master yourself each time. The aspects that are still a part of you that didn't, you're still part of them. So we are fully creative, fully responsible for everything that's occurring, and it is all absolutely as it should be.
And this is why when these energies are amplified, and we have this portals are being opened all the time, where you are now invited to let go of your karma. You're allowed to completely cleanse yourself of all. You're allowed to have your soul merge. You're allowed to connect to the divine without somebody in the middle. You can just go straight to the source, because you are the source. It's like when you, in order to get out, you got to get in. So if you want to go up the dimension, you have to get in first.
Get in is always the way out. In is always the way out. It's the other way around, that unconscious belief that the out will affect the in, that has brought us to this, this experience that we're in. And and if that's the thing, and it's all purpose, it's all exactly as it should be, and that is the balance. So that is I like that you shared that. It's a very interesting thing. My experience is one, it's very different. That's why I'm always intrigued by yours, because you have all these wild, crazy, out of universe experiences. I have them too, but they don't look like yours. So when I hear about yours, or anybody else's for that matter, I'm highly intrigued. But then when I share things that happen to me, people are like, wow, so to them, they're like, that doesn't happen to me. So it's the same thing. But I am grateful for your input, and I'm going to just two things, a little bit of a technical disclaimer. The camera's shaken a couple of times. We are having excruciating winds today, and I live in a little tiny camper in the middle of the desert. So when the camera was shaking, that's what it is the wind blowing us to kingdom come. So that's what that was about. I also tried to create a banner for this while we were talking. I wanted to pop something up, and I accidentally popped up an old banner that talked about an old subject. So Jamie, you just got a little promo accidentally about your community that you're trying to build, because that's what popped up on the screen. So I apologize. It has nothing to do with this broadcast. It was just a technical accident. But as I know, there are no accidents. So that just kind of throws that out there for everybody. And the only other thing
maybe you'll hear from this person.
Oh, well, I'm
Maybe.
already fully engaged with him. I'm trying to assist
Okay.
him in bringing forth this dream that he has for this community on this property that he has. So
Uh-huh.
that's where the banner came from, because I did a live for him.
Mhm.
I let him use my channel to go live.
Okay,
So then
Jamie,
he could
so
kind of,
be it. So be
yeah,
it.
so exactly, beautiful. He will love
Through
that.
Shannon's blessing, right?
He's a dear soul, so that's good. But I just would like to say thank you for coming today, Raisa. Thank you, Dore, for
Thank you
coming.
for inviting
And
me.
for all of you that are this is energetically being presented to. Like I always say, if there's not even one person this resonated with, it's been spoken, it's in the ether, so be it, and so it is. And it has definitely been a blessing to me. So we're going to get this out there. I'm thinking I'm going to do it on the 444 in April, which is the 040422, which is 4. And that's probably when I'm going to air it. I don't know for sure. I have a tendency to like to open my presents before I'm supposed to, so I might put it out too soon. But I'm an all-in. I can't. I have a hard time keeping secrets. I have a hard time waiting for surprises. I'm terrible when it comes to that. I'm too excited about things.
You have
But
1 week. 1 week.
yeah, I know. I looked at the clock and I'm like, you can do 1 week. Just go find something
Yeah.
else to do. But anyway,
Just
so
log out and don't log in for the next
yeah,
7
just
days.
log out and just forget about it. And then I'll be like, oh yeah, I can do that too. I'm very easily distracted, so I can do that as well. But anyway, so thank you, and thank you, viewers. And I just want to send out my love to you and tell you that I am so grateful for all of the energetic exchanges that I get from you, as well as that I get to give to you. So have a beautiful day, everyone. And hopefully this brought something to the table for you. I love you, and I will talk to you soon.
Thank you, Shannon.